Hello everyone, welcome again to my channel. Apologies for the hiatus as I've been very busy with many things with school and of course exams. Now, as you may or may not know, currently we do have unfortunately the coronavirus pandemic, and as a result we are required to stay home. So during this time I decided to go ahead and make a video. So for those of you who have been waiting ever so patiently for a new video, thank you very much for your loyalty and your patience. Today, what I want to present to you are 4 very wonderful tools made by Peterson and designed by a wonderful person who goes by the name of Christina Palmer. Christina Palmer is a very passionate person who loves lock sport and who designs some of the coolest picks ever. So today what I want to share with you are what we call the Wonder Waves, or what Peterson calls them at least. These ones are also sold on the Tool website, except not made by Peterson. Those ones are called the Wicked Waves. It's exactly the same thing, except the difference is that Peterson makes them out of 420 grade stainless steel, which is also known as government steel. If you take a look over here, these rakes have 4 and 5 peak variants. And so what we can find over here is that with the 4 and 5 peaks, what I found was that the 4 peaks are fantastic for wiser locks, quick set, as well as your master padlocks. Now, in addition to that difference, if you take a look at these 2 rakes over here, these are the Quint, but the difference is really the same for both sets. What you'll find over here that's very interesting is that if you take a nice close look, there's going to be one rake which is going to be on the bottom with the pointed peaks, more of the triangular ones, and the top one is going to be more rounded. The bottom one is fantastic for a lot of locks that have perhaps taller keyways and higher bittings. And the reason for this is because of the fact that with these taller keyways and with the higher bittings, you do need a little bit more of the kinetic energy. Again, this is actually the beauty behind it, because really we have to talk about the physics, otherwise it wouldn't make sense. The wonderful triangular peaks, what happens is that when you shake it in and out, it really bounces the pins up to a very high level, which is very good. Now, if you have a lock that has much tighter tolerances and a bit of a larger variation in the bitting, and more importantly a smaller keyway, what you will find is that the sinusoid waves are going to be absolutely fantastic, because with the round humps, what you'll find is that it will give just enough kinetic energy to bounce the driver pin above the shear line and open the lock, but not so much that you'll either damage the lock or cause the pins to be overset. Now, the reason why it's called a sinusoid wave is very simply because it's shaped much like a sinusoidal function, that is to say a sine or a cosine function, and the cycloid waves are shaped like the cycloid waves. So what you'll find over here is that really the physics and the mathematics that went into this are absolutely fantastic. With any sort of kinetic attack, we have to use very light tension. Now, this lock is a very common lock that we'll see, especially on a lot of apartments and a lot of commercial buildings. It is a Schlage C keyway mortise cylinder, and as you can tell, it's very worn out. Anyone who has tried to single pin pick these would know that with the pins and chambers so worn out and so wallowed out, it can be difficult to feel for things when trying to single pin pick. Therefore, raking is often the primary choice or the first choice for a lot of locksmiths when trying to get through these locks. Let me show you how effective these tools are. With Schlage, what I found is that their keyways are a little bit more restrictive because the warding actually goes straight to the middle, which makes it so that the keyways in effect a little bit shorter. As a result, what I found to work very well is actually this very nice small sinusoidal Quint rake. Just a note, the Quint rakes are typically going to have a much smaller amplitude as opposed to your quad rakes, and what you'll find is that this is absolutely fantastic. Are you ready? Let's try this. Apply very light tension, but before that we insert here, and if I can show you this, what you'll see is that this is actually going to go ahead and be held like this. You tense up your biceps and you oscillate, and the lock is open. Again, we're applying light tension because if you apply too much tension, what will happen over here is that you will go ahead and actually lock up the pins, and the frictional force will be so great that you'll end up actually trying to fight that frictional force with the kinetic force, and that's not very good. This is a kinetic thing, and being that you have 5 rakes, let the rake do the work. We're going to do the exact same thing with this lock, and the lock opens almost instantly over here. Tell you, if you do this enough times, you'll get pretty sore. It's a good workout for your biceps, I guess. Especially during this time with the coronavirus, you can't really go to the gym. this is one way to do things. Of course, you shouldn't only be doing this. Again, this is another lock that has a lot of wear and tear on it. It's a fantastic lock. Key, again, works fantastically. We're going to go ahead and try to open this lock up again. So let's go ahead and use the sinusoid rake, quint again. Stick it in and oscillate. That lock is open. Alright, take a look. That is open right there. If I can get some better lighting. And I'm going to keep going with this. It smells like someone's smoking weed outside. Not very nice. You know, especially during the coronavirus. I don't know. I guess you can get immunity from that by smoking weed. I don't know. Don't ask me. Alright, this key, that's not the key for it. That's okay, we don't need no stinking keys because we got this tool. Alright, go ahead and try this one right here. Again, go in there. And you can just kind of shake it. And it won't work for every single lock, but you'll find that it can be pretty effective. So if you're just kind of rocking around, try this again, reset that, and we'll just keep trying this again. And there we go, that's an open lock right there. Okay, we're going to keep going forward. We have just a few more locks here. We have this lock is a nice one. This one might be a little bit harder to rake open because it does have a little bit better variation in the bitting. I'll show you the bitting looks just about like this. If I can zoom out just a bit more. See, that's the bitting there. Try the key. Okay, so the lock is still there. It's the same lock. I'm going to try to focus on it. And again, the thing is, these Peterson rakes, they use 420 grade stainless steel, also known as government steel, and they're absolutely fantastic because with the plastic handles, you'll find that you can actually feel the pins set and bind. And this is very important for raking, actually, because this allows you to go ahead and position the rake in such a way that you're able to go ahead and actually effectively try to set those pins that are binding. And this one may or may not open, but it's okay. If that doesn't work, you turn it over to the other side. And you try it again. You can try it. And if it doesn't work, you stick it back in there. And you jiggle. Try it again. It doesn't always open right away, but it's okay. You can also try to apply just a bit heavier tension sometimes, and you can just go ahead and jiggle and just be random with it. Okay. And again, it doesn't open every single lock, but it's one of those things where if it works fantastically. Alright, so keep going at it. If it doesn't work, move on, try a different rake. If it doesn't work, then you use a different attack on it. Don't spend too much time on it, otherwise it's just not going to open and you'll be stranded. So try that again, turn it over. Okay, that's not opening over here, it looks like. Okay, let's try something with a bit of a lesser frequency, so we can try a sinusoidal quad rake. And there we go, opens right up. So that took a little bit longer, sometimes it can take minutes, but usually it opens very fast. That was one. How about we try a 6-pin lock? Or actually before that I do have another 5-pin lock. Very worn out original Schlage cylinder, and what you'll find is that with these original Schlage cylinders, they do have much stronger springs. So I will go ahead and readjust the camera to go ahead and focus on the lock. There we go. The lock works absolutely fantastically. Now this one's got much heavier springs. So what I find to work really well is that if you use your quint sinusoidal rake and you go ahead and apply heavier tension, but not too heavy, it's moderate tension, that opens these locks up almost instantly. Alright, let's try to go ahead and adjust the lighting just a little bit better. Let's try another 5-pin lock. This one has much more restricted keyway. This is a Yale keyway. Let's use a bit of a wider tension wrench just because we do need that, and we can apply just a bit heavier tension. It shouldn't hurt to do that. We're going to use the sinusoid because, again, it is a bit of a tighter keyway, and we're going to go ahead and try to jiggle it open. The quint sinusoid. Okay. Doesn't really give me much feedback, so let's try the quad. Okay, that doesn't work, so we'll apply heavy tension the other way using this quint again. Okay, so I can start to feel the pins kind of set and bind, and the lock is open right there. Doesn't take very long. You see this was the Yale keyway over there. Okay, now we're going to try a 6-pin cylinder here. Or actually we have one more cylinder here. There's another 5-pin. It's a 5-pin Schlage C keyway. Nothing spectacular about it. We'll just show you the workings of this. And what's really cool is that with these locks, or with these tools, again, the thing is you have to go ahead and apply tension here. And what you'll find over here is that with a lot of these locks, I should have actually mentioned this earlier, but thing is you have to really adjust your tensioning, because your tensioning is really, in some ways, actually more important than what you do with your pick. Okay, so I'm going to reset it all again, set it low, and I like to use the narrowest tension wrench possible when raking because you want to have a large amplitude or vertical travel when you're trying to rake it. This is especially good for if you have locks that are bitted a little bit differently with more variation. What you'll see over here is that's the lock, it's open. And yeah, that's it for the 5-pin locks. Let's try a 6-pin lock. This is a 6-pin Ilco cylinder with a C keyway for Schlage. We're going to stick it into there. We're going to use the key. Nothing spectacular. The cam is hitting the back over here, so it will not turn all the way. Now, this lock over here, I'm going to say you have to go ahead and make sure that you lubricate the lock really well, because again, with any of the frictional force that's in there, it can actually counteract and go ahead and go against the kinetic force that you're applying. This is not good for raking because, again, you're fighting yourself. Now, this one I find has heavier springs. This is why it's appropriate to apply just a little bit more tension over here so you can increase the friction to go ahead and bind the pins because it has heavier springs. But because you have heavier springs and you're applying heavier tension, the kinetic force that you have to apply is much larger, so the attack is going to be a little bit more violent. In that sense, what I mean is not by drilling the lock or destroying it, but rather you're going to be moving it with a bit of a larger amplitude. Just reset the lock again, and again we're using the exact same tool, and we're just going to go ahead and try to see if we can rake it open. It doesn't always open, it does take a bit of time, have some patience, but what you'll find here is that when it does open, it opens really quickly, and it's very satisfying. Try that again. We're applying heavier tension here. Okay, that's not working, so we can try a different rake here. And again, apply just a bit heavier tension here. And that's an open lock right there. You see that turned? Just to prove it to you, I'll turn the cam in the back over here and you'll see that turns all the way. Alright, that's pretty much it for a lot of these locks here. I have another lock. Now this is the ultimate demonstration. This is a sergeant lock. This is a sergeant lock, which means that it has much tighter tolerances and it has pretty soft springs. So this really demonstrates the kinetic aspect of this, because what's very, very important here is that we don't have a whole lot of room in the keyway to work with, but with such tight tolerances, you have to be very precise with your movements. So because of this, we do not want to use a sinusoid rake, we do not want to use a cycloid rake, we want to use the sinusoid wave. This is absolutely fantastic, and so what we'll do is that with a shorter tension wrench, I find that I'm able to apply tension and have much more control. So what we do is that we insert this here, and again I'm tensing up my biceps, and I'm just oscillating. That's literally what we're trying to do. Oscillate the pins into place, And because this has such tight tolerances here, you can't really dilly-dally around too much. Any extra travel than what is necessary will cause immediate oversetting of the pins. And because of this, it makes it incredibly difficult to go ahead and try to open this. So, we're going to do this. And by tolerances, I'm not just talking about picking tolerances, as in the distance from the pins left and right towards the center line, but rather the depth tolerances. There aren't very many tolerances in here in terms of the depth tolerances. I can tell you that Sargent is probably a little bit less than 2/1000 of an inch. I think it's probably even 1.5 That's my experience. And the thing is, you have to be very, very precise with it. So you see, I'm very gentle with this, and this might take a little bit of time. It's normal if it takes a bit of time. You can switch between tension wrenches. I like to use a little bit of a wider tension wrench. And just keep going here. You can set that. Sometimes we can actually set one of the pins first. And what you'll find here is that once you set one of the pins first, the rest of the pins can go ahead and be vibrated into place a little bit more easily. And that is an open lock. Folks, that was approximately that was approximately 10 locks. And you see, this is how effective these tools are. So with that said, I'd like to thank you again for watching and for listening to the physics and the wonderful stuff that has to do with the wonder waves. And that I'd also like to thank you for your patience and for, again, keeping your picking legal. If you're still watching this, please do keep your picking legal and stay safe, and especially during this time, maintain good hygiene, wash your hands, and stay away from the coronavirus. Thank you very much again, and have a nice day. Bye-bye.